For the first time on the channel, I've got a Cask Strength Scotch whiskey. This week, let me tell you about the 10-year-old Cask Strength single malt Scotch from the Glenallachie distillery. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the whiskey nerd, and like I said, this week I've got the 10-year-old Cask Strength single malt from Glenallachie. So let me get it into the glass and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Now, if you haven't seen, I have done reviews of the 12-year-old from Glenallachie and the 15-year-old from Glenallachie. There'll be a link to those reviews down below in the description, which you can check out afterwards, because someone did recommend that I should try some of the Glenallachie whiskies because I was looking for Scotch whiskey recommendations. I tried them, I really enjoyed them, and I bought little samples of them, so I bought full-size bottles of them, and when I bought the full-size bottles, I noticed this here, right here, the 10-year-old Cask Strength. This is from batch 9 and it comes in at 58.1%. I know that they've kind of been releasing batches of the single malt Scotch, and it does kind of apparently change a little bit with batches, not a huge amount, but does change a little bit. They released the batches of this because I think back in like 2017, 2018, the Glenallachie brand was kind of taken over by Billy Walker, the head distiller, master blender. It says it right there on the bottle. And he kind of wanted to bring the brand up where it had been kind of giving whiskey over for sourcing brands or like putting it into blends. He was like, let's take the whiskey we're making and release it as single malts. And apparently he sourced a lot of really good casks to kind of highlight the whiskey and make it like an immediate successful brand. And as for the casks used in this, apparently it's very similar to the ones used in the 12-year-old and the 15, where you get first and second fill bourbons, you get virgin oak, you get PX sherry, and you get Oloroso sherry. But for this one here, there's also a bit of Rioja red wine in there in the mix as well. So you get a bit of that red wine influence apparently to round things out, and it does make for an interesting little whiskey. A few last little notes. I did say that it was 58.1%. It's cask strength. It is natural color. It's non-chill filtered. I think that's all there is to say about this whiskey. So I'm just going to go in for the nose on the Glenallachie 10-year-old cask strength from batch 9. Okay, immediately, red fruits. Like, I do not doubt that there's a bit of red wine cask influence in here, because there's a lot of red wine here, a little red fruit influence, like almost like, but there's still that sherry, there's still that kind of like that note in here as well. It's almost like red fruits, like strawberries, raspberries, but that have been soaked in syrup. So like almost soaked in like that sugar syrup where you get a lot of sweetness, a lot of richness, a lot of like red berry notes, but you're still wrapped up with all that sherry syrupy note. There's almost like a little bit of almond on the nose as well, like as I'm sniffing it, getting a little bit of almond, a little bit of that nuttiness, but it's mostly those sweet red berries. There's a bit of like that kind of biscuity malt note as well, like those toasted malt grains. That's definitely coming through as well a little bit here. But it is, for me, it's those sweet red berries are your mainline note here. I'm not saying that the other notes aren't there, but they're behind it definitely. Like, it's nice. Also, as I said, 58.1%, almost 60% alcohol, close to, what's that, 116 proof, if I did my maths right. But yeah, you don't get a huge hit of the alcohol. It seems very well incorporated on the nose. It's just giving a lot of flavor here on that. So I'm going to go in for the palate and see if it's still giving that nice balanced approach. Cheers. There is a bit of like that ABV, that alcohol tingle, but really what I'm getting up front is that fruity note, again with those juicy red berries and a lot of black pepper, like really like those freshly cracked black peppercorns. That's kind of coming through here. Getting a nice bit of that flavor coming through from those black peppercorns with those fruity red berries. A little bit of the ABV tingle, but not super hot, not like overwhelming or dominating it. Still getting a little bit of like that syrupy, almost maple syrup, bit of oak spice, bit of that flavor coming through. I'm gonna go away again for another sip, go past the berries, go past the pepper, and see what else I can find. Cheers. Yeah, that is a very full flavored whiskey. On the second sip, the alcohol burn wasn't there at all. Like, it's quite a nice, light, well incorporated whiskey, but I actually got a nice bit of like ginger spice. I wouldn't say cinnamon, I'd say like, well, maybe a little bit of cinnamon. Like what I'm thinking are of, you know, those like ginger snap cookies, like they're very thin, they're very hard, and the spices have been cooked in them, so they're getting a little bit like, I wouldn't say like spicy, but they're definitely spiced, where you get that cooked grains from the malt combined with those spices, bit of ginger, bit of cinnamon, maybe a bit of nutmeg and clove in there, and you get that nice hit of spiciness with behind that like initial black pepper hit. Quite nice, a little bit oak, almost like caramelly as well on the mid palate when you had that nice bit of wrapper of sweetness. It was like initially quite syrupy, and then it went down to like a more of a like caramel note that kind of wraps around your palate. Quite nice, quite enjoyable on the palate, quite well incorporated. So I'm going to go in again, talk about the finish. Cheers. Okay, so on the finish, up front in your palate, you get those berries, you get those sweet notes. Those notes do kind of fade off into the mid palate and into the finish, like you're left with those caramel notes, with those oak spices, with those baking spices like I was talking about. It's still quite sweet, it's still got that caramelly note into the finish. I'd say it's like a medium to medium long finish on it. Quite nice. As I'm going here, as I'm talking, I'm breathing, I'm getting a little bit of heat from the ABV, but no real burn, no real like harsh notes coming through. I'm just getting that nice, yeah, still caramel, still a bit of pepper, still a bit of like that cooked ginger, the cooked cinnamon. Those nice notes are lingering on, but not really a huge amount of those berry notes, the nuttiness, the almond, that's all gone. It's really just into those kind of spicy notes into the finish. Before I give my final thoughts on this, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey reviews every Wednesday like this, and I put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey every Friday. So if you want to see those, make sure you scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and while you're there, maybe let me know other cask strength Scotch whiskies that I should try, because I did really enjoy this. I would say this is almost like an ideal cask strength whiskey because it's got that huge hit of flavor. Like you get a massive like punch, arrival of flavor, but it doesn't have that strong burn behind it. It doesn't have that really harsh like hit of alcohol. You don't get your mouth kind of like puckering where you get that kind of like almost acidic note from high ABV spirits. It just has a nice massive hit of flavor, and that delivers well here with the syrupy notes, with those red wine, the red berry notes you get through. It has a nice character and a nice kind of delivery. As I'm talking here, I've still got a little bit of that lingering sweetness and spice into the finish, so you know it is a nice kind of long enough finish on this whiskey. I have heard, like I said, that this is batch 9. I have heard that different batches have got different kind of flavor profiles, so your mileage may vary, but this is quite a nice one. I think I'm definitely going to keep on enjoying it, so I'll see you next time. Sláinte.